Hi, this week's feature post on Emerging Ed Tech is a guest post from instructor James Lines, who works at the College of Westchester. In this post, James discusses his experiences using the Polyvision Eno interactive whiteboard. Now, this post is really a conclusion or a follow-up on a series of posts I did starting back in November of last year, in which I worked with other staff members at the school to consider interactive whiteboards and where they might or might not belong in our curriculum. So the original series of posts is still out here, and I put this link in place to that. And if you open it up, it's about 5 posts, I think. We started by taking a quick look at what is an interactive whiteboard, who are some of the key players, what are some of the main features and functions to look for. As many of you are probably aware, the name Smartboard, the brand Smartboard, has become so popular that it's become kind of synonymous with what a whiteboard is. They've been successful at dominating the market, much like a Kleenex or a Xerox type of brand. But they own about 50% of the market, and there are a lot of other players, but I did decide to progress through the series of posts by next looking specifically at the Smartboard. I put up this post that has 9 different videos in it that give a real good sense of how are these things being used in the classroom, and some insight into what it takes to put them in place. So after taking a close look at the Smartboard, we then went on and looked at a couple of the other big players in the market, specifically Promethean and Polyvision. And we liked what we saw. There were good features and functions in all of these different products. And we did kind of start leaning towards the Polyvision in particular because it's a bit simpler. You don't have to connect directly to it. There's no wires coming off of the board. It can be used as a general dry erase whiteboard. It had the potential to be moved and relocated from classroom to classroom. It adheres to existing whiteboards if they're magnetic whiteboards, or I should say, I'm sorry, if they're metal-backed whiteboards, which many are. It will adhere to that very, very strongly. It's not that easy to get off, but you can then pull it off and use it in another classroom. So these were all advantages that made a lot of sense to us, and we liked what we saw. In addition to having looked at some of these kind of traditional interactive whiteboards, we also decided to learn about a few other things. And I had heard about the idea of a Wii Board, where you use a Wii remote and some other inexpensive pieces of equipment to create a very portable, very inexpensive kind of whiteboard substitute, I guess, if you will. And we had some struggles with it. It was hard to find reliable equipment. It sounds like a great idea still, and it's discussed in this post here, and you might want to give it a try. In the end, we weren't really satisfied with it. It didn't really meet our needs. We also learned about the Mimio Bar a few months later, and a very interesting low-cost kind of, or lower-cost alternative to traditional whiteboards. This bar here attaches. It can attach through suction cups or some other special holders they provide for you to an existing whiteboard, or even to a wall. We did this downstairs in my house. I put some Scotch tape on the wall, and the suction cups adhered to it. We had an interactive whiteboard in our basement, and it was really neat. We shied away from it at the school because it was a little too easy for this thing to be kind of pulled off the wall and walk away, but in a more static kind of environment like an elementary school classroom, it might make some sense. Great portability, great price, worked great, definitely an alternative worth looking at. So in the end, our work with the Polyvision Eno board went well. We did have a little bit of a glitch in that we moved to Windows 7 64-bit in the digital media classroom where we were using this unit, and that presented some challenges, but Polyvision worked very closely with us to try and overcome them, and we've been able to use the board and get through the process, and we're considering possibly picking up some more of them into other classrooms. And this post is a great reflection by one of the teachers who was trialing the unit on how he felt about the unit and how it worked for him. And that really wraps it up. So after all that effort and learning and due diligence, we have a solution that we're happy with, and I hope some of these posts can be informative to you if you're considering bringing interactive whiteboards into your higher education classroom or another classroom where you may not have them presently, or even in the corporate environment. And that's it. Thanks. Bye.